Welcome to the StoryADay podcast. This is Julie Duffy from StoryADay.org, encouraging you to be a writer every day, not someday. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Julie here from StoryADay, and it's coming up to the end of August as I record this, which can mean only one thing. StoryADay September is just around the corner. This year, in 2022, I'm doing StoryADay September a little differently. It's something that I started in 2011, I think, to help catch people who were too busy in May to do the challenge. What I didn't realise at the time, because my children were very young, is that September is a terrible month as well, because it's got the whole back to school thing going on if you are at all related to children or schools. So it's continued on in the form of a repeat of the May challenge. But again, this year I did something a little differently with the May challenge. The traditional challenge Story a Day existed, but I also did a fun size version where there were smaller tasks to do every day. What I found is that there was an even smaller an opportunity for you to get more result in a shorter time using some of the key components of the fun size challenge. So what I'm doing this September is I'm offering a 5-day fun size Story a Day challenge, kind of not right on the beginning of the month when there's a lot of back to school activity and hubbub and a lot of distractions and a national holiday in the US. I'm going to do a 5-day challenge for StoryADay September starting on the 10th. Actually, it's going to be a 7-day challenge because we'll do a little wrap up and celebration on Saturday the 17th. But really what I'm talking about is 5 days of content starting on September the 10th with the aim of getting you to deeply understand that you can write a short story. You can write a decent short story, you can finish it, and you don't have to wear yourself out in the process. There's a lot of fun and a lot of stuff to learn from these month-long challenges where you go flat out and you push yourself really hard. And then there's the rest of life. And increasingly, I am a fan of seeing people become writers over the long haul. And not everyone can translate the experience of running flat out for 31 days in May into a writing practice. So that's what these fun size challenges are about. I think they are more useful to more people, which is not to say there's no utility in the original challenge and it's not going away. I will continue to run those in May. And you are welcome to go and look at any point in the year at those prompts and recreate that challenge for yourself. But I'm going to be focusing more on a slightly slower paced support the rest of the year round. I've always intended to do that. It's been hard for me to focus on that consistently. But now I'm in a stage where I really get the benefit of that. And I've got some time and I've got some resources and I've got a great group of people I can draw on to help me out with that. So my network and myself will be at your disposal. So the point of this little ramble here is to tell you that you should get signed up for this September's challenge. If you go to storyaday.org/funsize, you will find a form that will let you sign up to hear all about this fun size challenge in September. And to say it's fun size doesn't mean it's not serious. You know, if you've been listening to this for any length of time, that I have my Serious Writers Accountability Group post that goes up on the 1st of every month. And the tagline for that one is "We're serious, not somber." I do think being serious about our writing doesn't mean that we have to be somber about our writing. So calling my challenge the Fun Size Challenge is meant to make you smile. It's meant to make you think of dinky little candy bars and something that is bite-sized and manageable, but a lot of fun, which is what our writing should be. I mean, even if your writing is writing about serious issues, there's an enjoyment there's a satisfaction, and there's a fulfillment that comes from it. So I don't want us to think about it as work. I don't want us to think about it as a grind. I want us to think about coming to our desks as coming to a playground, coming to the sandpit, coming to play with our imaginary friends, or if they're not imaginary, coming to play with our memories, the friendly ghosts of our past, sometimes the unfriendly ghosts of our pasts. But it's all excavating the stuff of our lives to build something better. Whether it's for ourselves or whether it's for our readers, there's a joy in what we do. It can be a quiet joy. Sometimes you get those stabbing moments of joy that C.S. Lewis talks about in his book Surprised by Joy. He differentiates between happiness and joy. He calls joy those stabbing moments that you can't really predict or recreate, but they're those moments of bliss that come really when you show up for them and pay attention for them. Happiness is a different thing, and I think that by turning up for our writing and for the thing that's important to us, we get the happiness part of writing. But sometimes when you're writing, you get that little stabby, happy joy feeling, and that's worth showing up for too. So I invite you to sign up at storyaday.org/funsize for an event this September, which is totally free. It's just about getting as many people writing as possible, and we'll get you writing and we'll get a story told. And you will prove to yourself that you can do this, that it makes your life better, and that I'm not just talking about nonsense here on this podcast. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about today. The next thing I was going to talk about, just a brief podcast here. And for those of you who normally watch this on YouTube, you'll notice I'm doing audio only this week, just because I wanted to get it done. Imperfect action. I am not camera ready today, just tired. And I couldn't be bothered getting myself all presentable to go on camera. And so given the choice between doing nothing and doing audio only, I decided to do audio only. For those of you who are listening to the audio, you don't care about this bit, you can just skip it. Oh, too late, because I'm moving on now to talk about something that came up in my writing this week, because I think sharing stories from my writing life is not the only thing I do here, and I'm lining up some interviews that I think are going to be fun for you. But I do think that sharing stories from my writing life can sometimes hit a nerve with people. I get comments from people saying, oh yeah, I needed to hear that this week, because we're very alike. All writers we have some differences, but we're all basically quite alike. We run into the same problems. We have the same desire to connect with people. We have the same desire to express ourselves, to recreate that happiness we felt when we were reading our favourite authors' writing. So this week I'm working on a novel, and I've got my accountability partners waiting for pages. I have promised them I'm going to write, and I've been also living my life, which included getting a kid to college last week, and included launching the new newsletter StoryAWeek, which lets you sign up for in-depth prompts every week. And it involved other stuff as well. There's not just those two things. So I was feeling some resistance to writing, even though, as I talked about last week, I'd done some planning, I'd done the legwork, I was expecting to sit down and just be able to write, and it was still a little bit of a slog. So I turned to my StoryADay Superstars. We were in a writing sprint, which we do often, and we were in a writing sprint, and at the end of the sprint I just there's a couple of opportunities for us to lift our heads up and sort of check in with the dazed glances of other writers. And at the end of the session I was sort of, anybody got any questions, anything they want to talk about? And it was kind of a quiet morning, and I went, you know what, I have a question, I have something I want to talk about. And so I asked this group of dedicated writers who turn up for their writing often and are writing all kinds of stuff, from memoir to novels to short stories to flash fiction to microfiction, all over the map. But they show up. And so I said to them, okay, I am trying to write this sequence of scenes. It's kind of in the middle of the novel, which we all know is difficult. So I planned out the beats of the scenes I want to do. I know I need to get my characters to this location. I need to get them through that location. There's a big emotional scene coming at the end of it. And then there's going to be the reaction scene to that. And I feel like I'm just like wading through molasses. I'm having a real hard time getting this thing written. And I'm trying to figure out what the problem is and what you do when you hit a moment like this. And it was so wonderful because there was just like faces lit up on our little Zoom screen, and everybody kind of leaned in, and I could tell that everyone knew what I was talking about and everyone had something to say. Even the quietest people in the group had something to say about this. And it was just such a wonderful moment of solidarity and of being understood, and of like, I don't think people who don't write, and people who don't write fiction, or people who don't write like personal stuff, I don't think they would understand what I was talking about. They'd be like, well, you want to tell this story, just write it, right? You've probably heard comments from that, from people who love you, but don't write. It's hard to explain why I want to do this thing is so hard. But these people all leaned in and started unmuting themselves, and I was like, all right, I am about to get bathed in some wisdom here. And I did. So let me share some of the things that we talked about in that discussion. First of all, the most wonderful thing was people just asking me questions, like, why do you think you're stuck? And that was a very valuable question. And I think they helped me get to the next question was about what's holding me back from writing the emotional scene. And that was asked by a memoir writer. So the answer would have been different, I think, had I been writing deeply personal stuff. It could have been fear of going there. It could have been fear of what I was going to dredge up, all of which are totally legitimate and need to be addressed if you're writing memoir. For me, I think the problem was that I was putting off. I was trying to do all the preliminary setup and the work to get to the emotional scene. And what I really probably, because I didn't know what was going to happen exactly when I get to the emotional scene, I was trying to write all the setup, and it wasn't exciting me. Because I'm like literally walking my characters through corridors that are devoid of decoration because they're the innards of a convention centre. So if you've ever been in a convention centre, you know how uninspiring they are. I'm trying to write scenes in those corridors. And I'm trying to logistically get my characters through all of that to get them to the scene that I'm really interested in writing. And that was among the discussion that we had, people talked about, can you chunk it? I was, I've got it all chunked down. I know I need to get them, I know I need to write this bit and that bit and that bit. So I know that I can do this over several days, like I talked about last week, but I'm still having trouble doing it. And what we came to in this discussion, through the questions that people asked me and through the perspective of someone who's not even writing fiction, that question about emotion, I realized that I need to skip ahead and write the big emotional scene and get my character into the moment that I'm excited to write about. And really go to town painting that scene, doing all of the drama and the comedy and the ridiculousness of life. That's the part I'm excited to write. And I had made the rookie mistake of thinking, partly because I've got people waiting to read it and I don't want to, it feels like I ought to write it in chronological order, in the order that it happens in the story, partly because I've got people waiting to read it and I want to be able to explain to them how we got from here to there. Whereas in reality, what I need to do is write the scene I'm excited about. I need to write the scene where I can get my teeth into it, where I can really do some great character stuff and really have fun and build things and mess things up and make things difficult for people. And then two things. One, for my accountability partners who are going to be reading this, I just write them a note. Or I just we go to lunch and I say to them, okay, so the bit you haven't seen yet is where they arrive, they do this, they do that, and now read this scene. And they'll be fine with that. And the other thing, I don't know why I keep forgetting this, you don't have to write it in order. I will then be able to go back and set everything up beautifully because I will know what I'm trying to pay off. I'm going to write this scene where my character does something that seems like it makes sense to him, but it's really going to cause him problems. The other character is going to see this. She's going to react in a particular way. And so once I know exactly what happens in that scene, walking through the corridors is going to be so much more interesting to write because I'll be able to foreshadow stuff and I'll be able to tease and I will know what's coming. So I'll be able to get more excited about writing it and about setting them up for failure because this is going to be a real fun screw-up scene. And so that's what I need to do. But I couldn't talk myself into that because I didn't see the problem until I had the humility to just open up to other writers and say, why am I having so much trouble writing this sequence? And what do you do when you find yourself in this situation? Confident that they would know what I was talking about and that they would have thoughts. And they did. They had great thoughts. They had questions. They were generous. They took a little extra time out of their morning to walk me through it. And it is, I never pretend that anything I do here at StoryADay is because I know what I'm doing. I'm doing the play of writing. I'm learning a ton. Over the last decade, I've learned a ton about writing, but I'm always running up against obstacles. And what I do here at StoryADay is I try to create an environment where it's okay for all of us to ask the stupid question, to confess the difficulties we're having, and to allow other people to answer our questions so that they hear themselves saying things they didn't know. And that is one of the unexpected and wonderful benefits of leading this Superstars group that I run. We do workshops that I run, or sometimes I get other people to run them. We do writing sprints, which gives us an opportunity to do actual work. We have a community that's a private community where we can chat to each other. And we hang out once a month, twice a month, actually 3 times a month now. We've got 3 different meetings that we hang out at now. And we ask each other questions and we just kind of have solidarity as writers. So I wanted to give you a little flavour of what it's like to be in that group. There's so many opportunities to turn up for your writing, not just to learn something that I decide I'm going to teach this month, or to have your work critiqued, but just to show up and have opportunities for spontaneous conversations like that on a daily basis where you can just say to people, hey, you know what, this went really well, and share it. Or, you know what, I'm stuck. And anybody know what it feels like when this happens? And so I just wanted to give you a flavour of what it's like to be in a group like that. And if you don't have a group like that, to let you know that towards the end of September, I will be opening up the Superstars group again. I only do it a couple of times a year because I really want to welcome people into the group and get them settled and make sure that we keep this openness and trust and sense of community in the group. And I couldn't do that if it was just like people coming and going all the time. So I open it up a couple of times a year. The last time I opened it up was, I think, in May, just after the StoryADay challenge. And then I probably won't open it up again until next year. In fact, I definitely won't open it up again until next year. So if you're interested in finding a group where you can hang out with other writers, there's lots of things you can come to. It's always drop in when you want to kind of group. There are video calls and there are, gosh, listen to me, I'm from the 1960s. There are video calls. Yeah, we hang out on Zoom. And there's a a Slack channel, a Slack workspace, which if you don't know what that is, it's just a sort of text-based messaging thing where you can post a message and people will come back and give you an answer later. I'm always upgrading, I'm always improving, I'm always adding stuff to it and taking away distractions. But yeah, so that's coming. So I just wanted to let you know about that. But I'm also super excited to share with you the reminder that you don't have to write your stories in order. Whether they are stories or whether they are novels, write the bit that you're feeling most excited about first, and then figure out how to get your characters there. It's going to go a lot faster, and you can just explain to people who are reading. You can just make notes to yourself. Get them through the boring grey corridors and do fun stuff here once you've figured out what that fun stuff needs to be, and then go write the juicy scene. I don't think anyone ever said that we had to write things in order. And I don't know why I keep forgetting this little rule for myself. Yeah, so I'm just sharing that lesson because I learned it this week with the help of some generous other writers. That's what I have for you this weekend. I hope it's been fun. I hope it has inspired you. I'm off to see a show this afternoon, and Dear Evan Hansen, in case anyone's wondering. Don't tell me what happens. I don't know. I'll know by the time you listen to this probably, but yeah, that's what I have for you this week. Remember that you can sign up for the StoryADay Fun Size Challenge if you're listening to this in real time at storyaday.org/funsize. If you would like me to send you a really juicy, in-depth writing prompt and lesson every week for the next year, come over to StoryADay/StoryAWeek, all one word, and get yourself signed up for that. It's just starting. We are coming into our 3rd week. You haven't missed much and it'll just keep rolling. So don't worry about having missed anything. You can sign up month to month, or you can sign up for the whole year and make the big commitment, which I think is a really good idea, because then you just don't have to think about it again. You don't have to waste any energy making that decision month after month. Should I renew? Should I let it renew? Should I cancel? I don't know. Just sign up for the year, and then I'll send you 52 prompts. And not just writing prompts, writing lessons and encouragements and little bonuses and things, because I like to give things away. And I've got a ton of worksheets and ideas, and I'm always looking for a home for them. So the people who are subscribed to the StoryAWeek Newsletter, which is not free, so you're supporting my work, will be some of the first people who get access to whatever little goodies and freebies that my brain comes up with during the year. So that's what I have for you. I hope that you are inspired to go and write something. I hope that you have fun with your current project, or start a new project, or go out and live and have an artist's date, as Julia Cameron calls them. That's what I'll be doing this afternoon. I wish the same for you. Get some joy in your life, get some inspiration. Looks like a lovely day where I am. Even if it's not a lovely day where you are, there is definitely something out in the world to look at. So poke your head outside your door if you can, and soak up some life, and then come back, write something, and then get on with the rest of your life, knowing that you have invested in an essential part of self-care, of self-esteem, of being who you truly are, by paying attention to the fact that you're a writer and not trying to hide it, because there's no use. You're going to keep coming back to it. You might as well give in and embrace it. So, as I say every week, I hope you have a wonderful writing week, and most of all, keep writing. Thanks for listening. Why not come over to the blog at storyaday.org and check out this week's writing prompts and articles. And in the meantime, have a great creative week, and of course, keep writing.